Hi, I'm back to book reviewing. Yes. I have a Goodreads account. I have a goal that I am going to write a review, probably a really short one, for every book I have read on my bookshelf. So, hold on, let's just a couple of those shelves. DVDs. You got to see how messy my room is. Yay! There's a thing I haven't done in the past. Like, as long as I haven't been making videos, I also haven't been cleaning my room. Yay! Hold on, let me just adjust the angle here. There we go. That's better. Yes. But what I have been doing is reading a lot of books, because I want to read 25 books, so I want to read a book a fortnight. And that is going well. Yeah. And one book I just finished reading is The Hite Report, which, if you're into human sexuality, sex politics stuff, you should read this book. It's one of those books like the Kinsey Report that is a must-read, early sexual surveying research stuff. Yes. And what this is, Shere Hite did a survey of female sexuality, in which it was done over 3 years in the 70s. Hold on, let me see what years. 1974 is one of the years. I think this one might be, this physical book was just 1974. There was 73, there were a couple of years. Anyway, and it has, in the 1974 one, there were 58 questions. And so they've got questions like, orgasm. Do you have orgasms? If not, what do you think would contribute to your having them? Question 2. Is having orgasms important to you? Would you enjoy sex just as much without having them? Does having good sex have anything to do with having orgasms? Questions like that. Yeah, and it's got, like, what sexual things, like, question 17, is breast stimulation important to you? What kind? Relationships. Where's a fairly short one of those? Question 30, what have your deepest relationships been like with both men and women? How were you satisfying, or how were they satisfying or unsatisfying? Emotionally? Physically? So it covers sex, and I like question 44. Have physical sexual relationships with men followed any particular patterns? What were they? How have most men had sex with you? It's like interesting questions about, like, what is sex like? Question 56. Do you think sex is any way political? And 55 is, what do you think of the sexual revolution? So talking about the 60s to early 70s. Which is a thing that I kind of, like, forget, like, happened and impacted real people. It's not just, you know, this weird, like, thing that appears in movies. No, it was an actual thing that happened and impacted lots of people. Yeah. It's incredibly interesting reading about what other people do. Like the section on how people masturbate is really interesting, that there are particular styles, and those styles correlate to how easy it is for them to orgasm during penis and vagina intercourse. And it's really hard for people to change what style it is, like what position they are in when they masturbate. Most people are pretty set in stone on what they do. So yes. Yeah. Which was interesting, which was just one of those things I'd never thought of, that, you know, there were actual patterns of, like, there was something like 7 types that basically every cis female does. Yeah. Yes, it's very interesting. It can be very depressing, because this was written in a time when a married partner could not refuse sex. And yeah, there's a lot of talking about that, which is very sad. And a lot of talking about the slut shaming that went on with the sexual revolution. That there was this sort of culture of people had to be ready to have sex with anyone because it was all casual. Like, it wasn't, there was a focus on having sex with friends and acquaintances and things like that. And so women would be pressured into having sex with people that they weren't attracted to and like didn't really want to. But you're meant to have sex with everyone, right? Says the man who wants to have sex with you. Yeah. And there was still the slut shaming of if you had sex with too many people, you were still called a slut and a whore. So, yeah, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't sort of situation. Yes. While there was also the very conservative people who only have sex during marriage thing was a lot greater. So, yeah. It's very interesting. It's good to see that things have improved now. I also have the 96 edition of it, which I have to read, because I'd like to see how things had changed in between. Yeah, and there's one, I know that during this they mentioned that they were surveying men, and I'd like to find a copy of the results of that, and see if they have people outside of the gender binary, because this is very, very cis women, yeah. Yeah, there were very little non-gender conforming things at all in this book. It just was not a thing that people thought about or talked about. Yeah, but it is very early in sex politics stuff, and when sex was starting to be taken care of, taken seriously. Yeah. Yeah. But yes, if you're interested in human sexuality, I thoroughly recommend it. It's very interesting. Yeah. Oh, some of the analyses are very airy, not airy-fairy, very intensely feminist. Like, I did roll my eyes at some of the things where they're like, this is what, from what people have said, culture should change in this way, and it's like incredibly, not radical feminist, like not, but like very idealistic, impractical sort of recommendations. I mainly ignored the things that were written by Shere Hite. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because most of what the book is quotes from people. Like, I'll see if I can find some quotes. Talking about intercourse, here's something from what positions people prefer. I prefer having the man on top, but I move a lot because I'm finicky about the timing and thrusting that's going on. It requires a lot of squirming around to get certain places that are pleasurable. Also, if I keep my legs together, my grasp regulates the pressure as I like it. There's lots of these, yeah. Like, that's what most of it is. It's lots of, like, what people's answers to the questions are. And then a little bit of analysis. And they're organised into sections. Yeah, so you get a bulk of one type of answer to the question. Yeah. Which I liked it. It's also good if it gets to a part where it's all very negative, that you can skip ahead. Yeah. Which is quite good, because it has, like, a bold thing of what this next group of answers are going to be like. So, on this section, it's got Many women mentioned one orgasm or more could be emotionally satisfying, and then it's got their answers. And then down here, some women stated that they could not have more than one orgasm because their clitoris became too sensitive to touch after orgasm. And that's this next section. So, yeah, you could just read the heading and go, I don't need to read that section. Get it from the heading. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Would recommend. Should be able to pick it up. The early editions, at least. You should be able to get an edition of it pretty easy from second-hand booksellers, because it's a very well-known book. Very popular. Yes. You might get a different edition, but... And you can get it on Kindle as well, because I read most of it on my ebook reader. So you can get it in the Amazon bookstore as well. Alright, I have now been talking for a very long time, so I'm going to stop. Alright, see you later. I love you, bye. I love you, bye.